Salutations friends, welcome back to my channel. It's a thundering outside, so if you hear rain, thunder, lightning, just welcome to Florida summer. It's beautiful this time of year. I'm going to be reviewing Absolute from a Royal Crown, and I'm excited. This review is going to be long. I'm going to be dissecting and really letting you guys know what I think about this fragrance. We'll tell you why. So if you'd like to know what I think, then keep watching. I threw my hair up because it's just too hot to wear down. Even in this room, because all my fragrances are here, it's air conditioned, the lights are usually off only when I'm filming. It's just very hot in here. So first things first, if you would like to know where I got this expensive beauty, I bought it. It was not sent to me to review. I own 8 fragrances from Royal Crown. One of them was sent to me to review. It actually was the first fragrance from this house that I ever tried, and I fell in love, and I've been buying them up ever since, and I will own them all. They will, I don't know how long it'll take, but I'm gonna own them all. I love them. I have reviewed the other fragrances from this house. I've reviewed, I will link below if you would like to check them out. And Absolute is the most expensive bottle currently from a very expensive luxury fragrance house. So generally I would say fragrances for 100 ml range between $400 to $500. The other fragrance I have, Jasmin, which is very expensive, that was like $700. This is like $800. So very expensive. Now I did buy this at MAXAROMA, so I didn't spend that much money. I did buy it during their Royal Crown event, so I saved a bit more money. And if you're looking real quick, I just want to let you guys know, if you see bottles like this on, if you look for Absolute like through images or even on some authorized resellers websites, you will see a different cap in a different box. This is their updated packaging, and I got that straight from Royal Crown's mouth. So if you purchase from MAXAROMA, this is the bottle that you will receive in your box, or in a different box, but it is authentic. And again, I got that from Royal Crown. This video is not sponsored by MAXAROMA. I'm just letting you guys know where I bought it. You can also get this from Beverly Hills Perfumery, which is another place that I love dropping my coin. But we're going to be reviewing this fragrance. I'm going to be reading the notes off of my phone, because even though I've filmed this video so many times, I don't remember the notes because there's so many. But also, I want this to be a long video because from what I've gathered on YouTube, nobody has like dedicated a review to this fragrance, and there's a few written reviews online. And I think Royal Crown's one of those fragrance houses that is inaccessibly priced for a lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't feel bad if you can't afford it or don't want to afford it. Even if you can, I understand not wanting to spend that much money on a bottle of perfume. I get it. But also, I just like, there's some fragrances that are easier for me to review. I can sit down and I can give you guys a general idea of why I think it's a good scent or why I don't like it in like under 5 minutes. This is a fragrance that I really just want to talk about. I kind of want to geek out a little bit with you guys over this scent. So this is going to be a longer review because I want it to be a longer review, and also because I just think this fragrance deserves a little more attention than 5 minutes. So if you don't like long chatty reviews, I'm sorry, but you get what you get, and you get me, and I'm very sorry. But you can't return me. You can turn off this video and you can downvote me, but you can't get the seconds back watching me that you've already lost. I'm sorry. So Royal Crown Absolute, if you're paying full retail price, you're looking at spending about $795 for 100 ml. Very expensive. Very expensive. This fragrance is a beautiful ambery dream. So the notes in this fragrance, you're going to have leather notes, coriander, galbanum, frankincense, honey. You have cedarwood, Mysore sandalwood, oud in there, jasmine, tuberose, rose. You have myrrh, vanilla, oakmoss, grey amber, labdanum, ballad of Gilead, Styrax, and patchouli. But let's get into the review of this fragrance. So the first thing I want to talk about is that if you are the type of person that lives in hot and humid weather, and you have a love affair with very dark, very mysterious, complex compositions, this will be a fragrance that you are going to love. And I mean that in a way that there's something about this scent that just works in hot soup humidity, oppressive heat, and horrible climate that generally can make these types of compositions too heavy, too headache inducing, too cloying, too muddy. Normally fragrances like this, I would say, work better in the fall or work better in springtime, or maybe less oppressive summers, you know, maybe more in the 70s and 80s, not like 102, like 150% humidity practically. So if you're the type of person, man or woman, because this is a unisex fragrance, that enjoys very complex, rich, luscious fragrances that have layers and complexity, but you can't find that right one that works in your climate, may I recommend trying to get a sample of this fragrance because it works so well. Now, in my opinion, the reason why this works so well is the fact that it's really focusing on these florals. It's not a floral dominated fragrance. You've got some beautiful leathers. The oud and the Mysore sandalwood really are just fantastic together. And I love sandalwood, I love it. And this is a beautiful just addition to those woody, gorgeous, kind of like alluring, sweet, but clean and fresh and balmy and balsamic and just unctuous, I think that's the right word, fragrances. This fragrance, when you wear it, has a texture and it just feels like a heavy, soft blanket over you, but not in a suffocating way, not like a comforting way, but still works so well in heat. And that's why I'm kind of reviewing this fragrance for you now. I don't want to review nothing but expensive fragrances. I have some very affordably priced fragrances to review. And I'm going to be doing a Pacifica fragrance ranking video where I rank my collection. So I definitely have affordable beauties in my collection. And I definitely say money doesn't mean a fragrance smells good. But this expensive fragrance smells fantastic. I will say that the Jasmin and the Tuberose really help this work in hot weather too, and they really pair beautifully with the woods. I think that in the opening of this fragrance, you get this really beautiful burst of resins and some really fantastic woods, and then this creamy Jasmin and Tuberose just kind of take over an almost slightly fruity, animalic, dirty kind of way. Now the animalic notes in this fragrance, which I don't find to be like animalic heavy, it's not barnyardy or fecal or anything like that. I find that to be less from the oud actually and more from the florals and the resins and the leather. And I also like that if you are scared of oud fragrances, if oud sounds crazy, that is not the challenging note in this fragrance. In fact, I would say probably the Tuberose and the Jasmin. A lot of people have issues with white floral fragrances, and I think that the woods and the leather and then like the frankincense and the myrrh and the Galbanum and the Labdanum, all these notes come together to create a very complex, beautiful, just kind of, again, blanket over you. But the white florals are what really sing at least the first few hours on your skin. And if you just can't stand white flowers, Tuberose and Jasmin I know can be very suffocating for some people. I think those are going to be what people have the biggest problem with this fragrance is not the oud. And that's saying something considering oud can be very challenging and intimidating for a lot of people. I find that the woods in this are really beautiful and they don't play second fiddle to the florals or the other aromatics in the scent. But what I like about them is they kind of dance off of each other. You've got this really refined, beautiful kind of semi-creamy sandalwood and this kind of like really intense, dark, really perfect oud. And it's kind of like creamy and then dark and then creamy and then dark. And then you have these flowers and they're like, I'm pretty, I'm pretty, I'm pretty. And then you have some gorgeous aromatics in there. I love the coriander in here. It gives it just a little touch of something kind of earthy, slightly nutty, but cool. This fragrance I think also works well in heat and humidity because it's not a warm fragrance. And what I mean by that is sometimes I like to use, and I mentioned this, if you're familiar with my videos, you'll know this diatribe by now, is when I talk about like aromatics and how important part they can play and just the feeling and tone of a fragrance. And when you have notes like cinnamon, that tone of the fragrance can be warm or hot, like spicy. And then when you have other aromatics like nutmeg and coriander and cardamom, that can be a more cool fragrance, like a more cold fragrance. It doesn't smell chilly, but you know, this one smells like peppery and one smells spicy. And what I like about this fragrance and what I think it works really well in heat is that it doesn't have that warm, spicy kind of cinnamon-like warmth that fragrances can have which I think are fantastic, but it's got more of a cool, peppery kind of undertone to it from the coriander. And I think that aromatic note is like the perfect touch to kind of add a little something special to this fragrance. This fragrance starts out very sweet in the opening, but it goes away like within like a minute. It's almost kind of a fruity scent, not like it smells cheap fruity, but like there's fruits in here as well. Like maybe there's some peach, a pear, apple. But what I like about it is the fruitiness is actually the white flowers, and it's kind of like opening and blossoming and blooming on your skin. And once it kind of settles down and it plays with your body chemistry and it kind of sits on your skin for a little bit, you start to get more of these beautiful resins. It's a very balmy scent too, some gorgeous woods, slightly powdery, little tiny bit in the back. I mean, like you really gotta pick it out, but it's there. Some, again, beautiful, just gorgeous incense, beautiful resins, beautiful balms. Woods in here are gorgeous, and some gorgeous flowers. I think the rose kind of works as more of a fruity sweetness and less like front and center. The front and center florals in this are most definitely like the jasmine and the tuberose. And the tuberose I think is a little bit creamy and bright, and the jasmine is kind of dirtier and slightly animalic, but it's still like a creamy floral. And those creamy florals work really well with the beautiful sandalwood, and then again that oud just kind of provides this beautiful dark mysterious base. So what I love about this fragrance, and I think makes it worth the price point, is there's some very expensive ingredients in here, some very hard to find ingredients in here. And what I like about them is that you can smell them, because sometimes there's some fragrances out there that utilize very expensive ingredients, but you can't pick them out. They're not distinguishable. And what I like about Absolute is you can smell them all. The honey is slightly in there, a little bit of sweetness, but I don't pick up honey, that distinctiveness that honey can smell, in a way that detracts from the composition, the way that kind of ruins the integrity of this beautiful kind of dance that these resins, this woods, and these florals are playing together. It's just adding a touch of sweetness, kind of helps mellow everything out. Same thing with the vanilla and the patchouli. There's a lot of notes in here that can throw off the balance of this fragrance, but I don't feel that. I feel like this is the type of scent that the nose just sat there and meticulously like measured every drop and made sure that this drop of fragrance for this formula didn't weigh slightly more than this. Like everything was meticulously chosen and blended, and that's what I want to see in luxury fragrances, not just expensive ingredients. I can't say words. You guys know this, and if not, I'm sorry. You've sat through at least 25 minutes so far of me filming. I'm not sure how much of this I'm going to edit out, but I want to smell the expensive ingredients. I want to smell them in a way that doesn't look like those types of expensive desserts where they just throw gold leaf on it. And then sometimes some of these expensive desserts, I remember watching a video of it, and then there's like a 15-carat diamond in this sundae, and it's like, well, of course that sundae costs like $25,000. Like, I want this to be properly blended, mixed, where you can smell and experience expensive ingredients in a way that puts them on a pedestal, highlights them, and gives them their moment in the sun. And I think that Absolute does that absolutely perfectly. This is why I don't have friends, if you're wondering. It's my horrible personality and sense of humor. But what I like about Absolute, I think that this fragrance really showcases some ingenuity, some fantastic ingredients, beautifully blended and kind of put together in a way that creates this gorgeous experience. So if I was going to throw together some buzzwords, just to, pick words out of a hat to kind of explain this fragrance, it's alluring, it's sexy, it's enticing, it's very sophisticated, very elegant, dark and dreamy. It is a unisex fragrance, so this is the type of floral fragrances, or a white floral dominant fragrance. If you prefer to wear more masculine scents, if those are the types of compositions that you prefer, I think you're really gonna like this too. And I think that it has a beautiful balance between woody and floral, and just this gorgeous like resinous, like aromatic pepperiness that it has. Again, it's very balmy, slightly balsamic, a little bit powdery in the background, slightly sweet. And I like that there's so much going on in this fragrance, but you're not lost in it. You're kind of dancing in it. It's kind of like a symphony, and you can't wait to hear the percussion. You can't hear the wind. Here's the little, little triangle in the background, that little ding, ding, ding that you love to pick up. And that's what this fragrance is to me. It's a beautifully blended, perfectly crafted, gorgeous experience. And as somebody who lives in a very humid climate, as somebody that lives someplace that's very hot, it can be very oppressive and very hard to wear very complex, mature, sophisticated compositions. Sometimes I'm just left wearing light woody aromatics, aquatics, and citruses. I love the fact that there's something rich and just deep that I can wear in the heat of summer that just blooms on my skin in such a beautiful way. So I think this is a masterpiece personally. This was a blind buy. Again, don't blind buy. Do as I say, not as I do, please. But there are some places where you can get samples of this, decants of this. But I know that Royal Crown in and of itself is hard to find reviews of, and this fragrance specifically, there's like little to no reviews of. There's just a few fantastic reviews on Fragrantica and a few other places. I'm not saying that those reviews aren't exceptional. They absolutely are. But I did want to sit down and really talk about this fragrance with you guys, because this is a fragrance that, because there's not a lot of talk about it, I think it deserves a little bit more time to discuss. Now, the other question you guys are going to ask is longevity, because for a lot of people, for spending a lot of money on fragrance, performance will be a big deciding factor. And for me, longevity isn't important. I don't care. As long as it isn't like disappearing off my skin by the time the fragrance dries, I'm okay. But I'm happy to say that this has excellent performance in regards to longevity and projection. And I would hope so, considering the ingredients. Personally, like I would expect when seeing this composition with the level of luxury that comes down with this house, if they couldn't deliver on like a few hours, I'd be horrified. But I'm happy to say that I actually get 8 to 10 hours on my skin. Now the first 5 to 6 hours, this fragrance performs moderately. It has a beautiful, light, billowy atmosphere. You get more of the florals and honey and a little bit of the frankincense in the projection, but kind of more personally, intimately, like, if somebody was like, here, hey friend, they're gonna pick up everything else. So like you smelling it, and people, probably personal and more intimate people, like people within your bubble, will be able to smell more. But the atmosphere that this projects is something very pillowy, very billowy, very soft and very pleasing. It's a very attractive fragrance. I will say this has a tremendous sillage. I wore this and I left the room and I came back a few hours and I smelled it in the room. And I was like, oh, there you are. So at least for me, now again, everyone's different, and definitely try this on your skin. Don't just listen to me. Great projection, great longevity, great, it does leave a lasting impression. So I'm happy for that. The fragrance it's not linear. It's not a linear fragrance. It does slightly develop. So like I said, when you wear it on your skin and it kind of opens up the first minute or two, it's going to be a little bit fruity. And the first time I smelled it, I liked it, but I was like, man, is a fruity fragrance really worth $800? But like I said, that's just kind of like the rose and the flowers and the honey just kind of pop in their head up, being like, hey, when the leather comes out more, the aromatics come out more, and the woods do, that fruitiness is toned down into like a floral sweetness. And again, like the rose and the honey kind of play a back note to the tuberose and the jasmine. So you have to like and appreciate white florals to really like this fragrance and to appreciate it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so enraptured with it, is because I do genuinely like obsess over white flowers. So if you do not like white flowers, this fragrance is not for you. But if you like white flowers and you're looking for something complex and beautiful and alluring and sexy and sophisticated to wear all year, because this is the type of fragrance you could wear all year, I think this is a fantastic fragrance and I do genuinely really enjoy it. So yeah, that's my thoughts of Absolute Royal Crown. Royal Crown Perfumes Absolute. It is an effectively ridiculously expensive bottle of perfume, but I think it's a beautiful experience. And if you have your chance to get a decant, get your nose on it, if you're in some place that has bottles of this out and you could smell it, or if you're driving past a perfume store and you have a few minutes and you want to experience this and they have it, definitely check it out. I think it's worthwhile. But I'm going to end this review here. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know a lot of you guys hate when I review expensive fragrances, and I'm very sorry. I am trying to have a nice balance between affordable fragrances, but because we're just kind of really diving into summer, I wanted to review this like right at the beginning of my summer, because again, this is the type of fragrance that you wouldn't expect would be a summer scent, but most definitely will be a summer scent. So thank you guys so much for reviewing this. Thanks for sitting through this long video. I really appreciate it. If you guys have had the opportunity to try this fragrance, let me know what you guys think, or let me know, like, is this ridiculously priced? Even if it's the most beautiful fragrance in the world, are you still aghast at that much money for a bottle of perfume? Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye.